Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse of Provincetown, where we affirm the inherent worthiness and dignity of every person, and we support each other in our spiritual search for truth and meaning. My name is Vicki Barstow. I'm a member of the worship committee. I serve on the board of directors. I sing in the choir, and I volunteer with the food pantry. I'm serving as your worship host today. Welcome to those in the room, and welcome also to those joining us on live stream. This morning, we welcome to our pulpit Elspeth Slayter, Dr. Elspeth, my bad, excuse me. I know her name. I love her. This morning, we welcome to our pulpit Elspeth Slayter. Dr. Elspeth Slayter is a working artist and a proud disabled activist and researcher who lives in Provincetown with her husband Murat Rayovic, rescue pup Pepper, and an incredible chosen family, many of whom are here today. She's a professor emeritus at Salem State University. She's part of the Juneteenth Provincetown Planning Committee here in Provincetown, and also does disability activism and research worldwide. Thank you so much for sharing your message with us this morning, Elspeth. Before we go on with our service, I have just a few announcements to share. Sunday, July 20th after service, we're all invited to the second annual Provincetown Interfaith Picnic. St. Mary's is hosting again and providing the barbecue food. We are all asked to bring a side dish, and we hope you can all join us there. And please also mark your calendars for Drag Bingo. Wednesday of Carnival Week, we are bringing back this treasured event that hasn't been attempted since the pandemic. Many, many thanks to Dan and Ellison, Linda and Barbara and Karen. We're going to transform our lawn into a giant bingo hall and invite the whole town to come, in drag or not. This takes a lot of volunteers, so please keep your calendars clear for Wednesday, August 20th. We'll be starting volunteer sign-ups soon. Also returning is our prayer shawl ministry. If you are a knitter, please join us on the first and third Tuesdays of the month at 10 a.m. for a knitting circle. We'll be creating prayer shawls for Reverend Kate and the pastoral care team to give out to those in need of a little spiritual comfort. If you have questions about the prayer shawl ministry, please reach out to Stephanie Cave or to Kenneth Sutton in the office. At coffee hour today, we hope you'll stop by our UUMH action table. Each week during coffee hour, we're offering an action that you can take to support our Unitarian Universalist values in the world. This might be writing a thank you note, or signing a petition, by making a donation or calling a senator. Just one thing we can do a week to make us feel less hopeless and more powerful. This week's action is related to the theme of today's service, which is about disability pride. As you know, the Senate and the House just passed a spending bill which has severe impacts on Medicaid, a key program for disability communities. Medicaid pays for services and supports that are essential to people with disabilities, beyond just health insurance. It pays for personal care attendants that help people live at home, eat, get dressed, and go to work. It can fund supported employment, supported housing, and transportation. Medicaid is also one of the biggest funding sources for K-12 public schools. Medicaid school-based services support children with disabilities. They cover speech and occupational therapy, mental health counseling, specialized medical equipment, and transportation. So please stop by the action table for ideas on how to address this truly terrible situation. And finally, if you are in person here today, we hope that you will stick around for a little while after the service ends for coffee and conversation downstairs in Akron Bosworth Hall. And now, let's take a moment to affirm our community's covenant. You can find this on the little purple laminated cards in your pews, or you can just listen line by line as I say it. I invite you to repeat each line after me. Love is the spirit of this meeting house. This is our great covenant. To dwell together in peace. To seek the truth in love. And to help one another. And now, as we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you watching online to light a candle wherever you are. In this way, we can feel connected even as we're apart. I invite Ellen to light our chalice for us as I read these words by Sean Gibson. We light our chalice in the spirit of transformation. Nothing stays the same. Everything moving, shifting, changing. Guide us all to a wild and holy vision of our shared humanity. And now, I invite you to join me in singing our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken. That's number 38 in the gray hymnals, Morning Has Broken. Please rise as you are able.
Good morning. How's the mic? Okay. I'm very honored to be with you here today. This is a beautiful sanctuary, and I'm so pleased to be here during Disability Pride Month. I invite you into a time of meditation and prayer at this moment. During this time, or at any time during the service, you're welcome to light a silent candle at the table to the right of the pulpit, where there's a journal to record your thoughts and prayers. After prayer, we will sing together Spirit of Life, hymn number 123, which is also printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews, and we'll sing first in English and then in Spanish. This morning's prayer is from Irina Kim Eubanks, who is a disability activist in California. God of creativity, of diversity, multiplicity, and accessibility, you say in your house there are many rooms. You build a space where all can dwell and live exactly who we are without shame. So forgive us for the ways your church has shut out and shut in, for making barriers to your presence, forging walls to togetherness, creating hierarchies of bodies and minds, and building environments that are disabling. Help us co-create with you a house that welcomes the fullness of ourselves. Inspire creativity for universal design, marked not just by widened doors and ramped walkways, but also widened language and open processes. Give us fortitude to build spaces that are physically accessible and psychologically safe, welcoming of neurodiversity, acknowledging the wholeness of who we are, our complete need for each other, and every gift we bring. May your way of shalom, in which every kind of mind, body, and spirit are honored as valuable and good, be made manifest in our world so that all of your children have room to flourish. Amen.
Our reading this morning is from the late queer Asian American disability justice activist, Stacy Park Milburn. There is no reason for us to feel shame for who we are. We were born into this world exactly as we are. We are who we were meant to be. That doesn't mean we can't grow and change and be better. Grow, change, be better. But also know you are a beautiful human being who deserves love and tenderness and care as you are. You do. We do. We deserve to have our boundaries listened to. We deserve respect. We deserve dignity. We deserve to have our humanity seen. We deserve an opportunity to contribute to society. We deserve the ability to make mistakes. We are not the only ones who deserve all of these things. Every living being on this planet does. As so many people have demonstrated, when you are a free person, you have an obligation to help other people get free. It's our responsibility to make this world more just and loving, to fight for people to have all the things they deserve as people have fought for us. We get much further in all our endeavors when we lift up our people as we work. This is very different from the message mainstream society tells us to focus on our own immediate needs. This is very different from the message we hear that disabled people have nothing to offer. Now is the time in our service when we take a collection for the ongoing support of this Meetinghouse and our shared ministry. As we enjoy a musical reflection by our choir, we welcome your donations here in the sanctuary or online through PayPal or Venmo. You can find that information on our website, uumh.org, or there are QR codes in the pews as well. I invite 3 volunteer ushers to come forward for the collection. On and off-site, your offerings will now be gratefully received.
Thank you to the choir and to Brenda. Happy Disability Pride Month. My sermon today is called Disability Pride, What's There to Be Proud of? But let me start where many of us are here today at this point. Anyone on earth can become disabled at any point. And this isn't the only reason that we should care about the disability community, but it's certainly one of them. And right now, this week, this day, the disability community is under attack, facing programmatic losses to services and programs that will be devastating to people, not only in terms of their health insurance, but also to their capacity for community-based life, which is a central goal for our community. And so I think it's extra important for us here today to lift up the disability community right here and right now, including through your work at the action table down in a coffee hour, which you've heard about today. Because these are hard times for all of us, and it's exactly in times like these that we need things like Disability Pride Month, July. We need to search for joy. And so, did you know that July was Disability Pride Month? Probably not, okay? This is not something that's widely heard about in the dominant society, and so don't feel bad about that. But you know now, which is great. But not knowing, you may wonder, what in the world is there to be proud about with respect to disability? Isn't this something to fear and to avoid and even reject? Disability Pride Month is a time to recognize the history of our community, the achievements and experiences that we've had, and our creativity in responding to this world. And this year's theme for Disability Pride Month is "We belong here, and we're here to stay." And I think that these words... Y'all gonna make me cry. I think that theme delivers a pretty impactful message that we're a vital part of every community, that disabled people are a vital part of every community today, unconditionally, and right now. Now, it's well worth saying that disability pride does not mean the same thing to every person, disabled or not, out there. And some people aren't ready to accept the notion of disability pride or just don't want to. I still feel ashamed about all the weight that I gained as a result of the medicines for my hidden disabilities. I still feel ashamed at needing to adjust to my feet and their pain over time, and Reverend Kate has helped me to think about these as my new body boundaries, but I still struggle with this, and I'm still a little ashamed as well. So my journey to disability pride has been an iterative process, up and down, up and down. And I'm guessing for some of you in the audience, this may be the case as well, up and down. So I'm going to share a little bit of my journey with you, and I want to start during a very chilly and rainy fall in 2012, when I was at a particularly low point in my life. I remember sitting kind of hunched over in a gray wool blanket, feeling glum, even though I had a beautiful orange velvet chair that I was sitting on. It was all a confusing picture. I was on medical leave from my professorship, and honestly, my bones felt heavy. My brain was on overload because I just found out that I had not one, but two hidden disabilities, and I was devastated. I did feel overwhelmed. I did feel ashamed. I did feel fearful. I did feel embarrassed. And friends told me, don't share your news, especially at work. Keep it a secret. I felt as though the world I knew would have to take on a completely different form. And slowly I realized, yes, it did. But there were some experiences that were hard, but also I began to see glimmers. There were some experiences that were positive. And this started me on my path. I began to read a lot more about disability and the disability communities and about ableism, which I'll talk about. And I did all that in my classrooms while I was hiding my own disability due to fear and shame and not being proud of who I was. It's pretty ironic. And this is really internalized ableism. So what do I mean by ableism? I want us to think about it as a system that places value on bodies and minds, both bodies and minds, and that the values we place on bodies and minds are really governed by the dominant society's views about what's pretty, what should productivity look like, what's desirable, things like that. Who's intelligent? What does intelligence look like? And this all intersects with the history of anti-blackness, misogyny, homophobia, etc., in our society. And together it creates an ableist experience. This community has talked a lot about the experience of racism, and just as with our exploration of racism in ourselves and in our communities, doing the same for ableism is very helpful, because ableism is often ignored, and usually it's left out of the litany of isms that we say in these moments. This is a sexist, homophobic, transphobic. Ableism often gets left off. But the truth is that its impact is deep and real. It limits access to community. It limits access to worship spaces like this right here, much less jobs, education, healthcare. And you know what? It limits access to respect from fellow community members as well. But what I've found is that disability pride is part of the antidote to ableism. Now, my disability pride journey started with me going down an internet rabbit hole. Has anyone ever, raise your hand if you've ever done that? Okay, you're not all being honest out there, I think. But, so at this time, I was looking for medical information. I know you can relate to that, right? I was interested in my diagnoses, and basically I was fearing impending doom. And so I spent days, hours, weeks, months doing this. It wasn't completely healthy, but at the same time, something very positive started to happen. I became connected with the vibrant online disability community, full of proud disabled people. I learned that 27% of the US adult population has a disability, 27%. I thought, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. I learned that disability is overrepresented in the queer communities and overrepresented in communities of color, and so much more I can't go into now. I learned that disabilities were both hidden, like mine, and visible for other people. I learned they could be cognitive, visual, hearing, physical. They could be medical, rare diseases, or things like HIV, diabetes, lupus, things like that. Now, I soon came to see that for all those types of disabilities, there are stripes on a disability pride flag. I ordered a disability pride flag, but it did not arrive in time, so I brought a t-shirt. And I know not everyone will see this, but there's a heart. We don't have a heart in the flag, but you can see there's a gray background and these colorful stripes. Now, I want to talk to you about that, and I'll also tell you that we're going to be handing out these disability pride flag stickers to you in the foyer later. So a little bit on the flag. The gray background is one that documents or acknowledges mourning for the disability community members who've died as a result of ableism, violence, negligence, suicide, and eugenics. And the stripes represent each of those disability categories. And to be honest, in my internet rabbit hole, when I first saw this, I thought, how is this the disability pride flag? This is kind of depressing. How can these threads of suffering and challenge possibly be related to pride? And you may be thinking that too, and I wouldn't blame you one bit. So it leaves us with the question, what are we proud of? Now, the disability pride community does not speak with one voice, but what I'm sharing now are views of many and views that I hold as well. So I wonder, are we proud of our painful, disempowering, terrifying, and often challenging experiences as disabled people? No, absolutely not. It's super hard, but we're proud to live through them. Are we proud of the loss we or our families feel when we acquire a disability or we're born with it? No. This can be painful and overwhelming, but we're proud that we lived through that too. Do we appreciate being seen as a victim or as a tragedy? Do we affirm notions like better off dead or pity statements such as, there but for the grace of God go I? I was raised with that. No, we don't appreciate it. It doesn't help. Do we like it when people say wheelchair bound, when actually wheelchairs are what gives us freedom of movement, wings in a way? No, we really roll our eyes at that one. Are we happy when we have to perform above and beyond at our workplaces just to prove that we can do the job? No. We are frustrated and mad, although we are also determined in those moments. And do we like it when able-bodied people share internet memes of people with prosthetic legs running down a track with a header, "The only disability in life is a bad attitude," as if that's everyone's experience? No, we actually call that inspiration porn, no lie. And we hate inspiration porn. But do we wish that disability was just seen as part of the spectrum of human diversity? Yes, absolutely we do. That's what we want. We want acceptance and inclusion as part of the spectrum of human diversity, and this we are proud of. Yes, we see disability not just as a deficit or as a condition or an impairment to be fixed. Rather, we say the ableism and inaccessibility of the world also needs fixing. Now, I want you to picture a friend of mine. Her name is Beckett, and she's a punk rocker, and she has a purple mohawk, and she has a beautiful purple electric wheelchair. And so I want you to picture her facing a set of stairs in her wheelchair, okay? And so in this situation, our society usually says, hey, the legs are the problem here. If Beckett had prosthetic legs, she could stand up and walk up the stairs, right? And you know what? That is true. It is true. But at the same time, our movement has to say this: the stairs are also the problem. If this was a ramp, Beckett could wheel herself right up. And you know what? That's true as well. Both of these things are true. But our movement takes the fact that you have to balance these views of the world, and of this we are proud. Now, we're in P-Town, and living in P-Town, we know a lot about pride, right? And P-Town has helped me to embrace the concept of disability pride too. And I remember when this happened, the moment when this happened for me, I was over at St. Mary's Church sitting on the seawall, and it was on a night in June, which is of course Pride Month as well. And I looked out towards the pier, and I saw these rainbow spotlights flying all around in the sky, and I thought, wow, you know, we know a lot about pride. We talk a lot about being our authentic selves. We talk about celebrating queer joy. We even celebrate queer joy at 12:30 p.m. every day this summer in front of Women Crafts, which is awesome. And so there are parallels to those celebrations of queer joy and celebrations of disability joy. And when I was in my internet rabbit hole, which turned out to be a pretty good thing at the end of the day, I remember finding hashtags and threads of conversation around hashtags like disability joy, disabled and proud, and my absolute favorite, disabled and cute. Lots of good pictures. So in finding these hashtags, it led me to the disability pride community, which helped me to see myself in different ways. And I learned that many in that community see disability as a culture, and that people had cultural disability identities. I met Valissa Thompson, who's a social worker and national political analyst. I met the founder of Crip the Vote, who mobilized hundreds of thousands of disabled people around the country in the Crip the Vote campaign. That's Alice Wong. I met Leroy Moore, who's the founder of Crip Hop Nation, who's a dancer and activist. And they led me to understand that disability pride can nurture really a passionate strength in us that we might not otherwise have recognized. When we share lived experience on these online websites, Twitter, etc., This experience fosters community and connectedness. We find purpose, we create and foster those connections, and then we don't feel so alone or ashamed. And this helps us to manage and sometimes even transmute darkness that comes along with being part of the disability community. This helps us to develop what researchers call positive disability identity, which is known to help people have better mental health outcomes in the long term. And so all of this we can be proud of. In finding disability pride, I fell in love with my disabled comrades who vehemently rejected what they see as infantilizing terms like differently abled, because, well, aren't we all differently abled, right? And I learned from this community, the Say the Word movement feels that disability is not a dirty word. We're going to reclaim that word and have pride around it. Some people prefer to say, I'm a disabled person. Some people prefer to say, I'm a person with a disability. And in our community, whatever anyone wants to choose is fine, but we want to be lifted up and not have it be a dirty word. But most importantly, in finding disability pride, I saw the power of community coming together, often online because of inaccessibility, coming together to advocate for policies and services and demand presidential candidates come to forums and talk to us about their vision for 27% of the US population. And I saw them meet success. The disability justice movement envisions a world for all, where people with and without disabilities live joyful, full, pleasurable lives, free of discrimination and oppression. That's an intersectional view that they take. And so in all of this, as I'm learning about all this, as I'm sitting with this new concept of disability pride, I'm thinking, what isn't there to be proud of? I learned that although the world is not designed for my very sore feet or poor balance, I'm proud to have developed creative problem-solving skills. Here's one of them. This is a thermocare pack that's used for women or people that have menstrual challenges, and you open it up and it heats up, and I've learned that if I put that on my feet, it can keep me going if I'm having a particularly different day. I think that's pretty creative. I'm proud of myself. Thank you. And I'm proud that surviving my weakest and grumpiest disability moments, and there are a lot, ask my husband, they've caused me to try to be more empathetic and more patient with other people, because who knows what they're facing. And so this byproduct of my disability challenges, this I'm proud of. So you may be asking, how can you foster and promote disability pride in your life, in the life of this Meetinghouse, and in the life of the Outer Cape community? And so to give you some thoughts on that, I'd like to draw on the concept of disability affirming practice. And this is really focused on creating healing and validating environments that lift up both the wisdom and creativity of the disability community. And I have some steps for you to consider. Prioritize access and inclusion needs beyond ramps, curb cuts, and captions. Disability pride folks say, access is love. They had a whole conference with that title. Have we thought about a non-binary wheelchair user? They'll need restrooms that are both gender neutral and accessible, but many spaces make us choose between the two. By fostering access and inclusion, we can be proud. We can honor that members of the disability community are experts in their own lives and should be listened to, learned from, and respected in their voices and choices, even if it makes you, an able-bodied person or another disabled person, uncomfortable. Sitting with the discomfort is very important. And so by honoring disabled voices and choices, we can be proud. We can recognize and confront ableism in our community and in ourselves. Me too. I often say to myself, really I do, did I just say lame or crazy to denote a negative? I do that every day. I catch myself. The important thing is to catch yourself and reflect on it. So continually exploring the ways that we may hold ableist views or language or engage in unintentional ableist behaviors, this is important. And so by recognizing and confronting our own ableism, of this we can be proud. We can embrace the sets of disability empowerment principles that exist, things like nothing about us without us, self-determination, community inclusion, or dignity of risk. And by implementing, putting these in place, these empowering tenets, we can be proud of this too. And finally, we can recognize that the ways the disability community experiences the world is not just framed by disability, it's framed by all of our identities that intersect. So how I'm treated by doctors as a white disabled woman may be very different than how a black disabled man would be treated. By seeing and honoring these intersectionalities, we can be proud. And that really leads me to your specific congregation, this idea of honoring intersectionalities. I've watched this church for a long time, and I think you can start building your disability affirming practice because of the strong anti-racism work that you've engaged in over the years, led by Pastor Brenda and others. And so in thinking about that, the connection between ableism and racism and being disability affirming, etc., I'm going to draw on Dr. Ibram X. Kendi, who wrote a book I know many of you have read because of your reading group, How to Be Anti-Racist. And Dr. Kendi notes that you can't be anti-racist while still being ableist. Do you see that connection? Do you see that intersection? And we know if we look at history, we know, for example, that enslavers conjured up this idea, I almost said crazy idea, called drapetomania, which is an alleged psychosis that was purported to cause enslaved people to run away, which of course is preposterous, but it happened nonetheless. So harnessing the power of disability and racism together. And more recently, we see that racism and ableism have been connected in the eugenics movement that sought to breed a perfect human race. And we still see elements of that in genetic testing. So I would like to invite you to connect your congregation's history of important and deep racial justice work with thinking about disability affirming practice. So I'd like to conclude by reminding you what my friend David Wilson said 2 weeks ago up in this pulpit during his Juneteenth sermon. He quoted Fannie Lou Hamer, herself disabled, who said, "Nobody's free until everybody's free." So when someone says, disability pride, what's there to be proud of? Perhaps you'll have an answer and an opportunity to foster disability pride. Thank you.
Challenge accepted. I now invite you to join us in singing our next hymn, 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. That's 1007 in the teal hymnal, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. Please rise as you are able.
I'll end with these closing words. As we approach the coming week, let us reflect on what disability pride means to us and to our community as a whole. May we live, work, and be in community beside others who are proud. May we be proud of our work to recognize ableism in our community and in ourselves. May we embrace who we are, who our community members are, and may we see through our collective strength and pride blossom forth. Go in peace.
I skipped the question of the week. Before you go in peace, it has become our practice to pose a question based on the theme of the service each week. It can be a topic of sharing at coffee hour today or with friends during the week. If you'd like to delve deeper into the question, we invite you to join us at the Zoom coffee hour on Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. Please contact the office if you need that link. And our question this week is, how have you been socialized by family, friends, and society to think about disability? How have you been socialized by family, friends, and society to think about disability? Thank you.